And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about making you just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We do that by bringing on over 50 different show partners where we bring on the best areas of law. I call it intelligent talk radio, law, finance, estate and tax planning, real estate, of course, credit, solar companies, so many different ways that we help you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. But it's up to you to engage. Reach out to the hotline, 813-750-0550, 813-670-0550 is our consumer advocate hotline. You used to call me on my cell phone. And consumerqb.com, all of our information at consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Giving a shout out to Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. They are COVID-19 certified for infection prevention and control. And they do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. And follow them on Facebook at Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. Woman-owned, local business. Support the local economy right here in Tampa Bay by supporting a great company, Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. All right, we got a great lineup for you today. Gulfside Healthcare Service is going to be on the show. And first, we're going to talk to Frank Charles Miranda Law coming up here in just a moment. I want to let you know about a couple of hot listings that we've got, a couple of real estate properties available here in Tampa Bay. 8001 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. This is the Riverview Sandwich Shop. And the folks out in East Hillsborough County, they really know what this is about. It's been an institution in that area for 30 to 40 years. 8001 US Highway 301 South in Riverview is a great opportunity. It's a business opportunity. It's operating as a restaurant, listed at $800,000, just slightly above $800,000. There's also a second building structure that has a church operating there as well. So you got a rental income built in if you're the owner, and the opportunity for two actual physical locations on the same parcel of land. Now, you've also got 45 to 50,000 vehicles per day driving by this restaurant opportunity. 8001 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, we got attorney Lauren Frieder on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank Charles Miranda Law. Welcome back to the show, Lauren.
Thanks, Brandon. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Staying busy. I'm sure you guys are. You know, it's a low inventory market, but we're still, seeing record low mortgage rates. Real estate deals are popping. Law, I'm sure you guys are busy with your law as well. What are you seeing out there on your end?
We're seeing a lot on our end. So, it's funny you brought up like refis and the loan stuff. So I thought maybe today we could talk about, so if somebody wants to refinance, is it even worth it? And if you took a forbearance under the CARES Act, can you even refi right now?
Yeah. So what is it? Let's start with the definition. What is a forbearance? What does that actually mean?
Well, so remember, a forbearance simply means that, so here we're going to be talking about mortgage payments are being postponed. They're not forgiven. So eventually you're going to have to make up those mortgage payments.
Okay.
So you're on a pause from having to pay your mortgage, but you're going to eventually have to make up those monthly payments.
Okay. So the payments, you got to make up the mortgage payments. Because I think people have a misconception about that. They think, okay, well, that's great. They're just going to wrap it around to the end of the loan or something like that. Is it not wrapped around to the end?
Well, so it can be. So what are your options when your forbearance comes due? Now, first off, you got to remember, if your home loan is federally backed, which about 75% of all homes in the United States are backed by the federal government. Mm-hmm. So that's going to include like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, loans backed by the VA, Veterans Association, and the Federal Housing Administration. The good news is for our vets out there, they've got a lot more protection than the rest of us under the CARES Act. So right now, if your home loan is federally backed under the CARES Act, you are entitled to postpone your mortgage payments for a total of 360 days. So the first 180 days, you can go ahead and then reapply if you need another 180 days if you've been impacted financially by COVID. And this is what we call a forbearance. So if your forbearance is coming due, that is going to be a problem. Obviously, we just talked about the fact that, say, it was 180 days, you asked for a forbearance. You can request an extension of up to another 180 days. So when your forbearance plan, though, comes to an end, you may have to pay all those past due payments at once. And so for most people, this is not necessarily that realistic. But if it's possible for you to do this, it's going to save you money on that accrued interest, and it'll catch you up on your mortgage right away. Another option is a loan modification. To me too. Let's talk about that forbearance.
You know, when this came about, COVID-19 hit us. People didn't know what was going on. A lot of industries shut down. We in the real estate industry, we had 3, maybe 4 weeks of just like dead silence. What's going on? And then all of a sudden it started picking back up. So this is, it's a frustrating part of our, our government, the veteran loans, even just regular loans, VA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, to have a forbearance in place and then say 6 months later, the bank, when I say them, the bank, the lender saying, yeah, now give us all that money at once. Yeah, we gave you a few months off, but now we want all the money. It just seems like the earning power just was diminished due to uncontrollable. You know what I mean? How it's just a frustrating point for.
It's got to be frustrating, and yeah. I think what's important is when we're talking about these federally backed loans, which is going to be most of our people out here, since there's 75% of homeowners are through these federally backed loans. The lender cannot force you to pay the postponed payments all at once your forbearance expires. At a minimum, the lender must agree to replace the postponed payments to the end of your loan. So, you got to remember, if you're going to sell that property one day, those payments, which have now been placed to the end of your loan, would still need to be paid.
Right.
But that's good to know that if people are getting nervous about this coming up, their forbearance period expiring, if it was covered under the CARES Act, the lender cannot force you to pay all that money at once. You could ask them to tack it on some of your monthly payments, but they have to at least at a minimum place all those payments at the end of your loan. That's helpful to people right now.
Yeah, I think that's a better option if it can be placed at the end of the loan. It gives you time. It allows you to have time on your side to be able to try to figure out a game plan. By the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with attorney Lauren Frieder, Frank Charles Miranda Law here in Tampa Bay, another local one of our partners, our on-air contributors, a legal analyst for the Consumer Quarterback Show. They're located on Cypress Street in Tampa. Frank Charles Miranda, trial attorneys here in Tampa Bay. So the CARES law, the forbearance options. We talked about moratorium on evictions. Again, it's a double-edged sword there, right? You got landlords that are saying, "Hey, I need to make some income on this money," but then the tenants are in a bad position also because the economy's been hit so hard and especially specific industries got hit harder than others.
This is true. I mean, it's bad like you said, on both ends. We represent a lot of landlords, and with these eviction stays in place, and there's no really relief for the landlords. So they're not getting, rental money that they might be depending on. And as these orders keep getting extended, I do think that they need to do something more for the landlords so everybody can be taken care of. These are unprecedented times, but I think everybody is suffering a little bit in any which way.
Yeah, and I guess they just look at it like, oh, well, they own multiple parcels of land. They're a landlord. They're in a better position, or they have a deeper balance sheet. But that may not be the case. That might be somebody's retirement income.
Their retirement, their income, and what we're going on, 5-6 months. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Losing, especially if you do have multiple properties. I mean, obviously there's programs. People can get on the PPP. There's different stuff, in place for everybody. But I think it's really going to be interesting to see what happens, because I foresee a lot of foreclosures and evictions for the unforeseeable future.
Yeah, exactly. That's when we look at the future, we look at what's going to potentially happen. I think so much is dictated or predicated on what happens in November. But also there's some things that you can see that's going to happen either way. Most notably, the commercial market, the commercial, that small business owner that was renting that 2,000 square foot space, that 3,000 square foot space at a strip mall, for example, or could be even an office park. I see the commercial sector getting hit pretty hard here in the future.
They are getting hit really hard. And, that's a really good point, because even though, for example, evictions are stayed for residents, commercial tenants and landlords are being affected by it too, because right here in, Hillsborough County, if you're a commercial tenant not paying your rent, they're still not going to evict you. So the commercial landlord is suffering as well.
Yeah.
So even though these places are these stays are in place for residences, with the writ of possession process, the sheriffs will not serve them. So the evictions cannot go through the final step if the person is unwilling to vacate.
Well, when we come back, I want to ask you about loan modifications. I want to ask you what do you see in the future in terms of loan modifications? Because if you remember back in 08, 09, 2010, there was a lot of loan modification talk. There were some companies that came through and scammed people. So I want to ask you specifically about loan modifications in residential and potentially in the commercial side, and see what your thoughts are there. We also have later in the show Kirsty Churchill coming on the show from Gulfside Healthcare Services, and more from our expert contributors coming up. Plus, our feel-good story of the day: restaurant owner is providing hundreds of free meals daily to help Iowa storm victims. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show. Check out consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. We would love to talk to you. Top-ranked real estate team right here in Tampa Bay. My wife, Lindsay, and I own and operate top team, and we're actually ranked in the top 1% of all realtors. So we'd love to talk to you. Give us a call or hit us up on the website. And this segment's brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brothers Easy Moving, whether you're planning a local, long distance move, they can definitely help you with that. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class organization. They did a great job cleaning are doing our move, helping us pack up. They do junk hauling as well, office moves as well. Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, a couple of hot property listings. 2528 APPALOOSA Trail. This is a great opportunity in Palm Harbor. It's right around that $500,000 price point, but it's an estate-style home, large home, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3-car garage, pool home. You've got an enclosed pool area with a raised deck as well, and you watch nature pass you by with a conservation view. And all of our real estate listings are available at platinummvpteam.kw.com. All right, so we've got attorney Lauren Frieder on the Consumer Quarterback Show talking about different types of forbearance options. Does it make sense to refinance right now? You've got to look at the cost side of that, the cost benefit, and how much you'll actually be gaining. And then also the veterans are pretty well protected, you're saying, Lauren. You're telling us about that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if just in general, if you're looking to refi, if you can't get a 2% interest rate reduction, refi is probably not worth it because you're going to go through the cost of closing, opening up new escrow, and fees might not make it worth it. So with the VA loan, what they're not looking at is, so a normal lender is going to want to see if you took a forbearance out under the CARES Act. They want to see that you're done with that forbearance program and you have at least 3 months of mortgage payments made on time, which this is different if you have the VA loan. So if you are in forbearance as a vet and you have a VA loan, you should go ahead now and still speak to your lender to see if you can get qualified for a better interest rate and go ahead and refi. The VA will not consider a veteran as an unsatisfactory credit risk based solely upon the fact that the veteran received some type of credit forbearance or some type of deferred payment during COVID, which is different than the rest of us. So these deferred payments cannot be considered for credit risk purposes. Lenders instead just need to continue to review and evaluate all applicable credit qualifying information like residual income, debt to income ratio, credit and assets, but they're not allowed to look at the fact if you went into forbearance. The VA is waiving a lot of prior approval requirements applicable to delinquent loans.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense when you look at this, what they've done for the country, and then of course the way that the the economic situation is right now. And then going back to the other question, we're kind of we don't have any definitive answers, it sounds like, on the loan modifications, but it would make sense to me that if I'm a lender and I'm holding paper on a $5 million building, for example, and I've got my tenants having trouble making payments, that they might want to restructure that debt. They might want to do some type of a loan modification. And
yeah, you should apply for a loan modification if you can. I'm not too aware of too many commercial lenders that are doing that yet. Yeah. I will say this, on the residential side, if you do nothing once your forbearance period has ended, so you don't come back with applying for a modification of your loan, you don't place those postponed payments at the end of the loan like we discussed before, you don't apply for an extension of your forbearance. So if you basically sit back and do nothing, the mortgage company is going to declare you in default and file a foreclosure against you.
Interesting.
Yep. So you got to do something.
Yeah.
Once you receive the notice that your forbearance is ending, you've got to take action.
Right.
And if you don't actually have a copy of your forbearance plan, you need to demand that from your mortgage company, because you need to have that written documentation to make sure that you're following this. Obviously we're all going through a crisis. There's millions of people out there, and a lot of these large mortgage service providers may not actually have systems in place to quickly update homeowners' mortgage accounts to reflect that they're in forbearance. So, keep an eye out on these monthly mortgage statements. If the statements don't reflect that your account is under forbearance, you need to call your mortgage and make sure that your forbearance plan has been put into place. We saw a lot of this with selling paper, all that stuff that happened back in 2008. So be proactive if you're taking a forbearance, and realize that, there's a lot of these large mortgage servicers, and they, we're all going through this together, but they probably don't have the capability, and there's going to be people that fall through the cracks that unfortunately might get foreclosed upon, even though they thought they did everything right. So keep all that written documentation. Very important.
Yeah, that's a great point. By the way, if you just joined us, we're talking with Lauren Frieder, attorney Lauren Frieder, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Frank Miranda, attorneys at law fcmlaw.com, fcmlaw.com. And we urge you to reach out and, contact the show for any information. If you're in a position like this, we get calls pretty often about different scenarios on real estate deals, different credit situations, and we'd love to help you. That's what we like to do here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, put you in touch with the best possible connection of one of our 50-plus show partners that we have here with the Consumer Quarterback Show. And so, yeah, it's an interesting thing, but the overall themes still remain the same. Be proactive, document things, and contact the bank. Be a open line of communication instead of closed line of communication.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing I talk about all the time. If you're a tenant, talk to your landlord. Try to work something out. You've got to take a proactive step. You can't just sit back and then think nothing's going to happen. It eventually will catch up with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like they think sometimes no news is good news, and he didn't do. Well, behind the scenes, they're filing documents, they're going to the courthouse, they're filing stuff. So then all of a sudden you get hit with that big stack of paperwork, and you're like, whoa, what is this? Couldn't we talk about this? Well, you had a chance to talk, but you withheld the rents, or you weren't fully transparent. There's different situations. So yeah, when you look at the real estate market, it's interesting. I feel like there's so many people, moving down to Florida, especially from those high tax states. You got huge tax increases over in California. I hear even they have something on their docket in California where they can actually chase you or follow you for 10 years to try to collect taxes from you, even if you move out of the state.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. California just seems, man, it's definitely a different world out there. So a lot of those folks are moving to Texas. They're moving to states like Arizona. And of course, Florida's pretty high on that list of New Yorkers moving down traditionally. But now I think more than ever, because not only the property tax, the income tax, just the quality of life, the things that we offer here, it's just so that we're seeing that. I know you guys are pretty busy on your real estate closing side as well.
We are, it's booming. What is the saying? I think it's every 3 to 4 buyers for a seller. So the market's hot.
Yeah.
It's really hot if you're a seller too, because you're probably going to end up hopefully having some buyers in a bidding war and over ask value. So we are busy over here. Stephanie's desk has got more files than I've ever seen in my life. Bless her heart.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Staying busy. So yeah, when you look at the overall economy, things are looking pretty good right now. Some people are talking about what happens when this stimulus money runs out. I think that's the big kicker right now is what people are considering. It looks like it's going pretty well now, but is it falsely, is it a house of cards? Is it falsely propped up? Time will tell.
Time will tell. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so parting words of wisdom, Lauren Frieder, Frank Charles Miranda Law, again, office right here in Tampa Bay, right on Cypress Street. Mobile closings as well for the real estate side. Stephanie can do mobile closings, and the business is staying pretty busy. So final thoughts from you, Lauren.
I'd say my final thought, since we're talking about forbearances, would be keep an eye on your credit, because if you were current on your mortgage before COVID and you are now on a forbearance, the mortgage company must continue to report you as current. If you were falling behind on payments prior to COVID and you're now on a forbearance, your mortgage company is only permitted to report that you're now on a forbearance. So right now during the pandemic, you can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can pull one free credit report each week. So I think it's really important to keep an eye on your credit. Like we talked about with these mortgage servicers, things may not be in place. You want to make sure you're doing your due diligence, because often people won't be doing it for you.
That's right.
And come to us if you do a refi. You are under no obligation for your lender to dictate where you're going to close. So this is your choice. We will be any closing fees quoted for you.
Nice. All right. Good stuff. Hey, thanks so much, Lauren. We appreciate you. Say hello to the team over there. Say hello to Frank and of course, Stephanie and everybody. Keep doing a good job over there.
Thanks so much. Stay safe, Brandon. I'll speak with you soon.
All right. Good stuff. So that's Frank Charles Miranda Law right here in Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the program. Coming up, we've got Kirsty Churchill. She is going to be representing Gulfside Healthcare Services on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You've heard us talk about home health care and home, hospice, home health care, some of those different scenarios happening, especially with our seniors and and other folks that have been in accidents. So we got home health care conversation coming up, plus our feel-good story of the day. Got a restaurant owner is providing hundreds of free meals daily to help Iowa storm victims. Stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at the Consumer Quarterback Show on Facebook, at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com as well. And we'll be right back after these short messages from our sponsors. Don't go.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. Of course, we would love to talk to you. We got a hot property here in Tampa Bay, 12208 Four Oaks Road, and this is in Carrollwood. This is a development opportunity right here in Tampa Bay. Builders, investors, entrepreneurs. You got 5 acres right in the heart of Tampa Bay, close to Carrollwood, 9 units per acre, so you can build up to about 40 units on this property. Prime development opportunity here in the heart of Tampa Bay. Also, another development opportunity at 4214 Peaceful Lane in Land O'Lakes, Florida. Land O'Lakes is a great opportunity to live in that northern Hillsborough County area, southern Pasco area. 4214 Peaceful Lane, Land O'Lakes, 8 lots for sale, 5 of which are directly on a ski lake, Bell Lake, which is a 90-acre ski lake right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Somewhere sunny and 75. This segment is brought to you by the Golf Cart Depot, a.k.a. Discovery Golf Carts. And let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. They've got the Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, Icon electric vehicles. They offer pre-owned and remanufactured golf carts available as well from Golf Cart Depot, a.k.a. Discovery Golf Carts. Make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, so we had several guests on from various departments of Gulfside recently, and we're talking about Gulfside Healthcare Services from home health, thrift shops, social work. And today we have Kirsty Churchill, Director of Public Relations. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming. So what we have is 3 different palliative care. You got the different home health care, the hospice. Give us a little overview about the services and maybe some updates.
Yeah, so I know we've kind of had a few different guests on with you lately just to talk about like different areas, but I thought I'd come on just to again share an overview of all that we do. So we're based out of Pasco County, but we have 3 main service lines. We offer hospice care, and that's for patients who have life-limiting illnesses in Pasco County. And then we also offer palliative care, which is for patients who have a chronic illness, so not in the hospice stage, but still have some kind of issue, some kind of illness that needs some pain management or symptom control. And then our 3rd division, which has been going on for just over a year now, is Gulfside Home Health. So it's a skilled home health service, and that's offered in Pasco and Pinellas County. And that is basically rehab at home. So instead of going into a rehab facility, you would be able to go home after, say, a knee replacement or something like that, and then our team would come to you and do those therapy services at home.
I think more and more people would be open to that or opting for that. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, especially right now. A lot of people are really still trying to play it safe and stay home, and our team is available to do that. It's actually been kind of interesting now with all the things that are going on. More and more people are now eligible for home health care. So somebody who may have an immunocompromising condition is more eligible for their insurance reimbursement and that kind of stuff to be able to get that home health care so that they can stay at home instead of having to go into a doctor's office or into a facility where they would potentially be at risk for contracting COVID.
Yeah, at risk. And when you look at going in, you're fighting the traffic, you're dealing with that. On that same note, it seems like telemedicine is kind of popping up here more and more everywhere you look.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting one of the things that at Gulfside that's come out of this is our team has really, telehealth is something that we had been looking at a little bit before, but now it's something that we've really turned to in a lot of different ways. And our medical services team has been able to still see patients virtually over the phone and even almost, see even more patients because you don't have that travel time in between. And it's just been an interesting dynamic because it's, helping us grow in that way and better serve our patients who maybe can't go into a facility or can't come into our palliative care clinic, especially on that side because that was a clinic-based service. But now the palliative care we're able to offer through telehealth, and so we're able to help more patients that way.
Yeah, if you just joined us, we're talking with Kirsty Churchill here, Gulfside Healthcare Services. She's Director of Public Relations, and I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And it's been just over a year since you guys have launched the Gulfside Home Health, and now you're expanding into Pinellas County. How are things going for that division?
Yeah, it's going. It's definitely going well. We're starting to see some progress in that area, and really, I think once people are kind of figuring out what exactly skilled home health means, because there is a difference between just a regular companion service, a home health companion service where they come and help with, cooking and cleaning and that kind of stuff versus what we do, whereas it's more the medical care, the medical treatment. So we offer the physical therapy, the speech therapy, the occupational therapy, and then the nursing services, so wound care and injections and medication management, that kind of stuff. It's stuff something that your doctor would prescribe to you versus, just kind of an assistance around the house. So it's a little bit of a different service. And what's unique about the Gulfside Home Health Division is that Gulfside Healthcare Services as a whole is a nonprofit organization. And so Gulfside Home Health being part of that is also a nonprofit. So that means that somebody who may look at that and say, I could really use that, but I don't think it's in the budget, we can work with you on that because we're a nonprofit.
Nice. Okay, I like that. So what does it mean when you're talking about being a nonprofit? How does that affect the end user? I think you were kind of touching on that.
Yeah, definitely. So It's in our values and our mission that no patient who qualifies for care and needs those services should ever get turned away because of an inability to pay. So we do fundraising in the community, and we have very generous donors who support us. And so they actually cover the gap of what is not paid for by the private insurance, the Medicare, the Medicaid, those kinds of payer sources. So that's kind of what that means, is that, if somebody needs services but they can't afford it, that's okay. They can still come to us anyway, and we're still going to cover them, and then those costs will just come out on our end.
Got it. Okay, so you got bereavement support groups as well. I think, when you look at traditionally, you look at what you see is you think about the challenges that people have with, a loved one gets hurt, they're at home, and then now the rest of the family gets inconvenienced, and and I don't want to sound harsh with that, but it's just, it's true. What happens is you got the same aunt or the same uncle or whoever that's taking care of the mother or the loved one, and it just seems such a drag on their life, and their, it kind of cramps their style, of course, in a way. And, so it just seems like this is something where Gulfside Healthcare Services can really step in and give that person some relief and give them their life back again as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our really big programs as part of our Comfort Connections umbrella is our caregiver support services. So, being a caregiver, like you said, it really takes it's a full-time job, taking care of a loved one, especially if you're having to help with cooking and bathing and personal care and transportation to and from doctor's appointments and that kind of stuff. But that it's a full-time job. It really takes a lot out of you. So we're really proud to offer our Comfort Connections program for the caregivers of our patients who sometimes they just need an ear to talk to. Sometimes they just need somebody to bounce questions off of, and they need other caregivers to be able to talk to you and say, I'm really struggling with this. And then that other caregiver can say, I struggled with that too, and here's what helps me. So through that program, our team is available for support, to answer questions, to assist in that kind of way. And then we also offer caregiver support groups. And then part of that is also bereavement services. If that person passes away, a lot of times that, especially if you're that primary caregiver, that person was your whole world, your full-time, I don't want to say full-time job, but, essentially that's what you did 24/7 was care for that person. And then when they're gone, it's totally life-changing. So we have those bereavement services. And then that's actually something that has changed a little bit because of COVID, but I would even maybe say for the better. So because of COVID, we started offering online virtual support groups over Zoom. And our support groups are something that were really well attended, and people seem to really appreciate the services that came out of that and the benefits from it. But once we had to go online, we found that more people were able to attend because, if somebody is a caregiver and they're at home and they may not feel comfortable leaving their loved one for an hour to go to a support group or, that kind of thing. So then they're able to attend from home without ever leaving their side, and they're still able to get that one-on-one support that they need.
Yeah, that's important. All right, so Gulfside.org, Facebook.com/Gulfside Healthcare Services, and any fundraising events or anything coming up soon that you want to mention?
Yeah, so we actually do have an exciting new virtual event coming up in October. I feel like that's something that so many people are going to, but unfortunately we had to shift some of our originally planned fundraising events. But in order to kind of help make up for that, we've scheduled a new event. It's going to be a virtual Halloween party, an online costume contest type of thing, just a fun night in October. So definitely follow us on Facebook, and we're going to be announcing the details for that soon.
All right, good stuff. Well, Kirsty, thanks so much for joining us. Say hello to the rest of the team for us.
I will. Thank you for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Check out Gulfside.org, Facebook.com/Gulfside Healthcare Services, and support another one of our great partners and on-air expert contributors of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, when we come back, we've got a special guest in studio here, Stephanie Costolo, is going to be here. U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking in studio. We're going to be talking about this, this stuff that you see. There's a pandemic going on that's been going on that people don't talk about as much, and it's human trafficking. So stay with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, our feel-good story of the day, restaurant owner providing hundreds of free meals daily to help Iowa storm victims. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals. We got a hot property here at 7736 Grand Boulevard in Port Richey. This is a commercial property in Port Richey, which is an up-and-coming area, very close to the water as well. Large lot, and it's set up for a nice opportunity for a business owner to grow their business. We also have 1224 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is in Tampa. This is a Tampa property. 1224 East Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, great opportunity here. You got double lots, 2 commercial lots for the price of 1 right here in Tampa Bay. One of the hottest real estate markets in the United States. That's Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Palm Harbor, Dunedin. Great place to live, work, and play. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. Every day, we're going to tell you something positive in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so you got a restaurant owner in Iowa feeding hundreds of people for free after a 14-hour storm ravaged the community And you got a storm that hit the Midwest, hurricane force winds topping 100 miles per hour, destroying and severely damaging thousands of homes, schools, and businesses. Millions of people have been without power throughout Iowa and Illinois. And as the community struggles to recover, barbecue restaurant owner Willie Ferry is using his grill at Willie Ray's Q Shack to provide neighbors at least 400 meals daily at no cost. And, quote, it's terrible right now. You got people still without power, Fairley told CNN, and we're just trying to do what we can as a company to make sure we did our part, because if something were to happen to me and I had nothing, I would want something to be able to provide something. So Fairley has so far at least 1,000 free grilled meals to the community, including ribs, chicken, burgers, and hot dogs. And he's been offered 15 catering jobs, but declined, saying, hey, the money will come. People are in need right now. Feel good story of the day. There's a good one for you. Thanks to the good folks out there in Iowa. And we have a guest in studio here today, Stephanie. Welcome to the show, Stephanie Costolo.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. All right. So you got U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking is who you're representing.
That's right.
All right. And you're a nonprofit organization.
That's right. We're a nonprofit faith-based organization headquartered in Tampa, Florida for the past 4 years.
Very good. Okay. So before the show, we were talking a little bit about, so the global impact is 40 million people per year. Is that right?
Yep.
And then domestically in the United States, it was what number?
So we don't have a concrete figure for domestically in the United States, but the International Labor Organization estimates that there's over 40 million victims globally of all types of human trafficking.
Yeah.
And then specifically sex trafficking, which is what the U.S. Institute focuses on, there are over 4 million victims globally. There's other reports that show that when you look from a global perspective at the countries that are supplying the highest number of victims and creating the highest amount of demand, that the United States is one of the largest consumers of trafficking victims in the world.
I could see it. I mean, it's, we're that definitely. So when you look at the impact, in Florida ranks number 3rd out of all the states.
The Polaris Project collects a lot of data on human trafficking and houses the National Human Trafficking Hotline. So for the past decade, Florida has consistently ranked 3rd in the nation for the number of calls made to that National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Wow.
And Tampa Bay is consistently within the top 5 regions in Florida for the number of calls and cases made.
So what are these calls? Are they indicating, these calls are indicating, hey, a loved one got kidnapped or
Potentially. It could be a loved one. Certainly there are calls about that, but there are calls also from service providers, teachers, professionals. Law enforcement will call when they come across somebody who looks like they might be a potentially trafficked victim. And victims themselves can call or text the number to the hotline to get connected with services or law enforcement help. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a growing, we talk about this pandemic. Some people even say, oh, it was a plandemic. It's an election year. Haha, this wouldn't have happened if it was, there's all these different things. But this happens every year. And I've heard different numbers as well. But it's probably in the millions per year that we're seeing. And there's probably stuff that we don't even understand yet. But, the Jeffrey Epstein case kind of blew open. Wow, people see the documentaries now. It's interesting how the information flows through documentaries and, online through different Facebook or YouTube. So if you look at, the impacts of where this might lead, there could be some pretty high level people that get hit pretty hard. I think one of them is right across the seas there at Prince Charles or whatever it was involved in some of that. But, do you have any indication of how high level this stuff goes?
I think the world is getting the indication of how high a level that this all goes.
Yeah.
And I think the world is just now kind of opening their eyes and seeing more clearly what sex trafficking looks like and how it really starts occurring and how subtle it can be.
Yep.
And so, it's just far more prevalent than anybody can understand. For example, it does go to those high levels, certainly, but a lot of people don't realize that those who are contributing to sex trafficking the most are sex buyers. And the most frequent sex buyers are 40 to 50-year-old white males in suburbs who are making about $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
So when people start understanding really the complexities of what it looks like and who's participating, then their eyes really get opened up.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. I mean, you look at it and you see the Dateline used to do that show where they would catch the predator.
Yeah.
What's the Sheriff Judd over there in Polk County? Every now and then he's busting certain people. I think last time he got one of his own deputies.
Oh, really?
I think that happened. Yeah. But if you look at the landscape, it's the consumers. It's the consumer quarterback show here, right? Like, how can we help? What can we do? What can my listeners, my viewers, our TV show, and we're syndicated, of course, on Apple, Amazon. What would be? I know you have an event coming up, but how can we get involved?
So the first thing I would say is people just need to get educated with quality education about human trafficking. Right now, as you were saying, there's a huge movement of awareness about sex trafficking. The hashtag Save the Children and all of that. But I would caution everybody on going down the rabbit hole too deep with some of those, because some of it is just straight up conspiracy theories and not legitimate information.
Right.
So I would say get educated, but find an organization like the U.S. Institute that's been around for a certain number of years and get your education from that organization. We have a training portal at USIAHT.org/training, and we have free 30-minute general awareness videos that's going to tell people what to look for, what is human trafficking, how can I identify if somebody I know is being trafficked, who do I report that to, and then lastly, what can I do to combat this, which really goes down to reducing the demand. So reducing the amount of people that are willing to pay to have sex with trafficked victims is what's going to ebb the flow of this problem, because you have three key players.
Yeah.
It's an industry. It's a $150 billion industry globally. So you have your trafficker.
$150 billion
a year. You have your trafficker, you have your victim, and you have your sex buyer. And you need every player in that triangle to contribute to sex trafficking. So people can really get educated about the role that they play, or their family members, or their cultural attitude about sex buying. And that will make a huge difference.
And it seems that the sum of it is the kids that are orphaned or in foster and, those scenarios.
Oh, my goodness. There's reports, there's studies that have been done that say 60 to 70% of trafficked kids in the United States come out of the foster care system.
Mm.
And so, and there's a lot of misconceptions about sex trafficking. People think often that there's a white van going to pull up at a bus stop and snatch my kid and then take them off to sex trafficking, which could happen, but it is not the norm. Because think about it. If you're a trafficker, what's your goal with that child? To make money, right?
Yeah.
That's your goal, unfortunately. So when you steal a kid from a family and from a community that's going to stop at nothing to look for that kid, you're not going to be able to sell that child very well. And I hate to be in such crude,
no, that's a good
but
point.
like that's what it is. So what they do is they find kids with vulnerabilities.
Yep.
They find kids in the foster care system with no support system. They find LGBTQ youth that have run away from home because they're not accepted.
Yep.
They find kids that are looking to fill a void or to provide substances that they're addicted to.
Yeah.
And that's who is primarily trafficked.
Yeah. I know Tim Tebow just came out and said, he was more of a private behind the scenes guy. He said he can't let it happen anymore. He's more public about it. Tony Robbins, one of my favorite, I listen to his podcast all the time, went to his business mastery course. He is partnered up with some of the ex-CIA and military type folks, and they're doing these sting operations. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a force for good out there. Yeah. We want to see it happen faster. We want to see it happen, more. So if people go to the website, the USIAHT, so that's U.S. Institute Against Human Trafficking.org. So USIAHT.org. And they can also, reach out to the show. We'll put them in touch with you, Stephanie, and keep up the good work. You guys are doing a great job out there.
All right. Thanks so much, Brandon.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Will do.
That's right. All right. Good stuff. Hey, another great show. Had a great lineup for you today. We had attorney Lauren Frieder on the show earlier talking about different foreclosure, real estate issues, loan deferments, Kirsty Churchill as well, Gulfside Healthcare Services, and of course, Stephanie Costolo as well. So, hey, we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another. Be a force for good in the community. Do something that is going to stretch your bounds and do a kind work out there. Be a force for good in the community and create that random act of kindness. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, and the Consumer Quarterback Show page as well on Facebook. And we'll see you next time. ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. And join us next time.